Matt Underwood, as you know, is reporting for us here on All Bets Are Off and on STO all week long from Opryland in Nashville. He recorded an interview with the general manager of the Cleveland Indians. Here's Matt with Chris Antonetti.
Baseball's winter meetings continuing here in Nashville, Tennessee with Indians general manager Chris Antonetti. Obviously, we've had some time, but not a lot of action so far. Is it your perception that there's a logjam created by the top name free agents? So a lot of the other players who are represented and their agents are kind of waiting to see where maybe those guys will set the bar and then things fall into place?
I think that's some of what's going on, especially at the top of the market where some of the guys just below that are waiting to see what happens with some of the top guys before they move on, before those teams move on to their alternatives. So I think that's some of the component. I think there's also teams that are right now just trying to narrow in and trying to really understand what's the cost in free agency versus what is the prospect or young player cost.
Yeah, because obviously you have talks with with the agents, with the other teams, and so everybody, is it just sort of like a dance right now? Everybody's kind of getting a feel for what's going on?
It is, but the pace has picked up a little bit.
Oh.
So I think that, I think you start with a very wide net and you begin to try to get an initial feel of where you may align on general parameters and general values and which teams you may overlap with the best. And then from there, you really begin to narrow it down and focus and see if you can get to that final step of, aligning on the right combination of players. And I think we, in our case, are a lot further along in that process with teams and, in some of our discussions on free agents than we were a week ago and even a couple of days ago.
It's been reported, rumors, that's what the winter meetings are all about for the most part, that you've been in discussions, that have you been close on anything to this point?
It's hard to say close. I think we've extended numerous offers on really trades and free agents, trade proposals and free agent offers. And, in some cases we're waiting to hear back. In other cases we've received counter proposals, and in others we've determined that there's not the right fit. So we'll continue that process, I imagine, today and over the next couple of days, and hopefully we can get something done.
So, Chris, you're saying you may have a free agent offer or a trade offer that's still literally out there on the table right now?
Yes.
And so, unfortunately, the waiting game, as Tom Petty said, the waiting's the hardest part, right?
Yeah, that's part of it. There's part of it, but it's, you're balancing a lot of things. One trade or one free agent signing has a lot of residual impact on what else you might do depending upon which players you're able to secure.
In a strategy sense of what you're trying to accomplish at the winter meetings, I don't get the idea that you're trying to do something along the lines of, say, what the Marlins did with Toronto, where they're literally remaking their entire club in one off season.
There have been some concepts that we've talked about that have involved a lot of players, both, from our team, other teams, combinations of multi-teams. Those are really difficult to put together, especially when you start to involve multiple teams. But, it's just really hard to say and handicap what may end up coming to fruition. But we've had significant conversations.
Yeah, so you're not just giving us a line then when you say we literally talk about anything and everything at these winter meetings. So you probably get some wild proposals.
Just short of everything is probably what I'd say. So there are a lot of different ideas and concepts that are exchanged not only at these meetings but in the weeks and leading up to it.
When you're trying to look at the trade avenue, are there teams that you look at and say, hey, these are the guys we match up best with, or do you have to look at everybody and say we could match up with any team? Because there's a popular theory is that you never trade within your own division, even though those happen at times. But are teams more reluctant to trade within the division?
It's more difficult to trade within your own division because almost definitionally, if you're trading to improve or enhance someone else in your division, you're making it better. You're making your direct competition better. So you have to be mindful of that. But at the same time, if that's the best deal that makes the most sense for you, you can't be afraid to make the move.
So obviously there's a lot of irons in the fire, and there's a lot of things that could still happen. Will you be disappointed, Chris, if you walk away here at the end of the week and you kind of go home empty-handed without anything done?
Our preference would be to do something, but I'd rather go home without doing anything than do a deal we might regret while we're here.
Yeah, you don't want to make the wrong deal, obviously. And historically, you've already made a number of trades. And obviously there's good trades. There are bad trades. Are you stung more by a trade that doesn't seem to work out then elated by a trade that does work out?
I think that's just human nature. You always really examine the ones that don't work and try to really obsess over why they didn't play out the way you expected them to play out, whether it's a particular player not developing the way you hope, or injuries, or whatever, or some process in the trade and misidentification. So we spent a lot of time on the ones that didn't work out, and less so celebrating the ones that did.
Does it make you gun shy at all? Because in your business you can't, can you?
You have to trust your process, trust the information you're getting from your various evaluators and people that have input into the decisions, and then go with it, because you can't be afraid.
Well, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. Hope something breaks loose for you here.
My pleasure. I appreciate it.
That's Indians General Manager Chris Antonetti, and our coverage from baseball's winter meetings here in Nashville, Tennessee will continue in a little while.